All right, everyone, this is the second video of the afternoon. For this part, you are going to need the envelope that had paper in it in your package that went home last week. It looks something like this. It had some loose bits in it as well. So you're going to need some of those pages, not all of them. I'm gonna show you which ones you're going to need. And you're going to need that file folder as well. And I'm going to show you the first couple of things we will do it with that. Feel free to pause this video at any time to slow down or repeat any instructions, and let me know if you have any questions later. Okay, for this part you'll also need a glue stick and a pair of scissors. Okay, so the first parts you'll need are for the covers. And if I show you mine here, mine is what it looks like finished. And it will open up with all the little parts inside. So the first thing you're going to do on the left-hand side, you're going to glue this page along. If it doesn't exactly fit, if it looks like it's going to overlap, feel free to trim off some of the extra white if you need to. Leave that nice black border there so it looks like a title page. And then the plain white one as well, that's about the same size, is going to be glued on the right-hand panel on the front. So you can see what mine looks like all finished. My cover looks a little bit different than the one that you were sent. That's okay, yours is better than mine. This has some of our guiding questions that we're going to be answering throughout the unit on yours. So your picture's a little bit smaller and you have a little bit more writing. In class, we talked about what kind of a scientist studies plants, and that is a botanist. And you are the botanist because you are the scientist studying plants, so make sure to put your name at the bottom so that when you return these to school, when we're all done with them, I'll know whose it is. Okay? So that's the first step. Glue your titles page on, and that's skinny strip of plain white paper. You can see that mine has some funky flowers on it, and I'm going to show you how to do those after. There's a bit of a fun activity to do, and I will describe that in the next video. This video is just all about how to put the pieces together. Okay? So, title page should have your plant growth and change title, and it should have your blank strip of paper glued to the front of your lap book folder. Okay? If you need to pause the video, like I said, and go ahead and do that, go ahead. The next part that we're going to do is actually the very back. We're not opening it up today to do anything inside. So on the back of mine, you can see I have two finished pockets here. One is the My Work in Progress pocket, and the other is the pocket for the plant journal. So this is one where you can store anything that you might be working on, that you might need a little bit more time for, okay? And then this one, we're also going to make the journal that goes inside of it, okay? So out of your stack, let's start with the My Work in Progress page. With this whole lap book, you'll find sometimes that we've got little folding things, sometimes they're little booklets. It's really important to follow the instructions so that you don't end up accidentally cutting something off that you're not supposed to cut off. Okay, so for this one, there are actually some instructions on there. First, you cut around the outside of the shape. So this whole thing needs to stay together as one piece. Okay, these parts here are flaps, and if you cut them off, you won't end up with an envelope. You'll end up with just kind of a rectangle, and you'll have to figure out how to stick it all back together, right? You only get one. I've only sent one home, so you'll have to figure that one out if you do accidentally cut them off. So it's better to just follow the instructions in the first place. Okay, so cut all the way around the outside edge. And then the second step is to fold the flaps back and glue down the sides. Okay, so I'm going to pause, I'm going to cut mine out, and I will be right back to show you how to glue it together. Okay, so I've cut mine out all around the outside, and you'll notice I left those flaps intact. So everything is all in one place. Now I can start with making it into a little envelope. This line right here, you're going to fold it along that line. You need to make sure that you can see where it says "My Work in Progress." Don't fold that onto the inside of the envelope. So fold it nice and flat along that line. Okay, it often helps to put it against a table so that you can have it nice and flat and neat on the edges. Okay, so now mine's folded. The next instruction is to fold the flaps back and glue the side flaps to the back flap. And then we're going to glue it to your lap book. Okay, so this flap here, we're going to look at these two side ones. Okay, fold them on the lines backwards away from the front. Do you see that? So you're going to fold it away from the front because you're going to glue that part in a minute to the back part. So when you close up the envelope, do you see how it's going to end up sticking to that part that I just folded back? Do that with the other part as well, that other little flap. It helps to make a nice crease with your fingernail if you can. Okay, so now I have two flaps folded back. There's my front, and you can't see the flaps anymore. Okay, if you can look at the front cover and still see flaps, you need to fold them back the other way. Okay. Next, put some glue along the flaps. Okay, just use a glue stick. White glue kind of makes it lumpy and it takes a long time to dry. So you should have a glue stick. One stripe of glue along each flap should do. So I've got my glue on there. The next part is just to close up the envelope. Okay, and make sure those flaps stick to the back. Okay, so now I have this little envelope. I don't want to be putting anything in it really yet until I know my glue is dry. Okay, because we'll let the glue dry. You can fold down this flap over top to make a closed envelope. And I don't know about you, but mine doesn't match up exactly. So you'll notice on the back, I just folded it over the front, but it wasn't exactly on that line. That's okay. Having that flap folded over the top will just help anything that's loose from falling out. Okay? The final step is you're going to glue over top of the instructions and you're going to attach it at the back. So this is the very back of my flip book, my lap book. So there's the front with the two opening parts. The back is where, at the top is where your My Work in Progress folder goes. Okay? So that is the first one we're going to do. If you would like now to pause the video and finish that up, you are welcome to do that. If you want to just finish watching and do it all at the end and back up and reverse and do what you need to do, that's fine too. I'm going to show the next activity, which is the plant journal and the plant journal pocket to hold your journal in. So you're going to need a few pages for this one. Right near the bottom of your package are some pages that have My Plant Growth Journal on them. And you're going to need, there's about 4 pages. They all have these 4 boxes in them. Okay. So all of these pages have 4, there's a rectangle that has 4 boxes on it, okay? So we're going to cut those apart and stick them together. And then we're going to make the journal pocket. All right, so I'm going to show you again one more time Pause as you need to so you know which pages to get out. There's this is the first one. That's our cover, My Plant Growth Journal. Here's the second one. It's got photosynthesis and it has a matching activity on it. The next one, Do Plants Prevent Erosion and the Great Uptake? The last one has the inside of a seed and a word search on it and some fruits and vegetables there. Okay, so those are the last pages. Those are the ones you're going to need for this. Okay, you're also going to need, lost my spot here, like I said, the journal pocket, so you have somewhere safe to keep it. And it is, uh-oh, maybe it's not in here. That might be a problem. Oh no, of course it is. It was the page right before all of the journal pages. And it says, go figure, plant journal on it. Okay, and it is another envelope similar to the one that we just made. Okay, so I'm going to start with the pocket folder for it. I'm going to set aside these. I would put back into your envelope so they don't get lost. We are not doing anything else with these pages today. So put the extras back in your envelope so they don't get lost. We will be working with them later. Take out your plant journal envelope. Once again, feel free to either, you might want to watch the whole thing first, or you can do it along with me and pause as you need to. Just follow the instructions really carefully so you don't accidentally end up cutting something off. Okay? So once again, there are some instructions here. We are going to cut out the cover and fold it up. We're going to fold in the flaps. We're going to create a pocket. We're going to glue the flaps down. And then we're going to make the book so we can have something to put in it. First things first, we're going to cut again around the outside edges of the book. Or sorry, out of the envelope. Okay? So don't cut any pieces off. These lines here that go across the shape are for folding. Do not cut those off. I'm going to pause my video. I'm going to cut mine out and I will be right back. Okay, so as you can see, mine's all cut out. I left all the flaps in place. All the parts are together so that I don't have to worry about figuring out how to put it back together. Okay, each of these lines, this is a little bit different than our last envelope because it has double lines. That's because what we're going to be putting in this envelope is a little bit thicker, and so they didn't want your envelope falling apart when you tried to stuff it in there. So when they designed it to make the envelope wider. So first thing you're going to do is fold each of those flaps in place. So you're going to make sure, like the last one, that you always see the envelope itself at the front. So I'm folding along this first line here. Okay, I'll show you in a second. Remember, you can always pause or slow down the video if you need to. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. I folded one of the flaps back. I folded this one with the vine and the leaves on it. Folded it back, but you can see there's another dotted line here. Okay, so I'm going to actually open this up where I just folded it. And now I'm going to fold the other line, that other dotted line. Okay, and again, I'm going to fold it nice and neat. If you're going off the lines as you fold it by a lot, you're going to have a really crooked envelope, which makes it hard to put it together. Okay, so just make sure that you fold along the line as best you can. Okay, now you'll notice when I come back here, I have a bottom to the envelope. So there's the front, there's the back, and it has a bottom as well. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with these other flaps. So I'm going to start with one side and fold it along one of the dotted lines. Okay, so it's folded in like that, and while I'm at it, I'm just going to do the exact same thing to the other one and fold it into the envelope, because once again, that's where we're going to glue it together. So take a look at that. I have folded both of my flaps in, and I still have this extra dotted line on both sides that I'm going to fold. Okay, so I'm going to open up my flaps, and now I'm going to fold that second dotted line that I haven't folded, and I'm going to do both at once. Well, I guess one right after the other. I'm going to do one then the other, and then I'll show you. Folding nice against those lines if you can. This one is a little smaller. So now I have it folded in, and you can just see the flap. But if you look at the side, it's thicker. So I have a bit of a thicker side. I have a bit of a thicker bottom to it. Oops, mine's getting a little crunched. And then there's the other side. Okay, so we're making a bit of a thicker envelope so that we can put our journal in it. The last thing to fold down, and I would do this before you do your gluing, is this flap here, which is going to help keep your envelope closed. So once again, we're going to fold on those dotted lines. If you take a look at mine, I'm folding across that first one. I'm going to put it down for a second so that I can get a nice neat fold. Okay, when I fold that first one, you can see Plant Journal written across, and you can see I have that space there with the extra dotted line that I'm going to fold. Okay, so if I open that back up and I fold along that other dotted line, it's a lot of folding, I know. Remember, you can always pause the video, go back, do what you need to do. When I fold on that other dotted line, all I see is Plant Journal. Okay, but I do have now that thicker top to it. Okay. Next part is to glue these flaps onto here. Okay, so you're going to put a strip of glue just along the flap. Make sure not to glue in between the dotted lines. That is the side of your envelope. So just run a strip of glue along this flap and this flap. Okay. Again, it helps to use a glue stick instead of liquid glue or white glue, just because of what we're working with here. You don't want it all lumpy and soggy. If you only have white glue, then go ahead. All right, so I've got glue on both my flaps. I'm going to carefully fold this viney part up so that it attaches just to the flap, and it leaves that side open. Now I'm already making mine crooked, so I'm going to fix it. See, it happens, right? Do what you can to kind of squish it into place if you need to put your hand inside the envelope to flatten the glue in place. Okay, and you're going to do the same on the other side. Make sure not to put the back onto, or I guess it's the front of the envelope. Leave those two dotted lines and just put the front attached to the flap itself. Again, if you need to stick your, I've got my finger inside so I can pinch it shut and smooth that glue together. I'm noticing I've got a little corner sticking up right here, so I'm going to add some glue and flatten it down. Okay, so you can see we have a bit more of a 3D envelope now, but that'll hold some thicker stuff, and that top will just fold over the top. And we have our plant journal. Okay, where does it go? On the back of your book, underneath the work in progress envelope that we just glued on, you're going to glue your plant journal one. Okay, so put your glue on right on top of the instructions. That's totally fine. And then if you need some help smoothing it down, again, stick your hand inside the envelope and then just smooth it onto the back of your envelope or your folder so that it stays in place. Okay, so now we have 2 envelopes and we are ready to make the journal itself to go in there. Okay? Okay, the last part is to make our journal. This is what it looks like when it's finished. And you've got, it's kind of wonky just because the way we put it together, but that's okay. As you open and go through your booklet, you'll see pages 1, and the pages are numbered, page 2, and so on and so forth. The next video, we're actually going to do some lessons in this little journal, so you're going to need that. Okay? So, let's start with our pages. First things first. Let's take a look at the first one. We are going to cut around the perimeter of that rectangle. Okay? And then we're going to cut across that solid line. Dotted lines are for folding. Do not cut dotted lines or you're going to end up having to somehow stick your book all back together. Okay? So for this page, cut one big rectangle and then cut the page in half across the solid line. Okay? So let me just show you one, and then I'll pause my video and cut all the rest out, and then show you how to put it all together. So I'm just cutting out one big rectangle. Look, I've got one side cut off. Okay, I'm going to come around the corner, cut the other sides off. And you need to keep those pages together. So this first one is the cover and page 1. Okay, so now I've got my borders all cut off. I just have the journal pages. Now I have to cut across that solid line, not the dotted lines. Cut neatly so that your book looks neat and nice. Okay, so I've cut them apart. Here's my cover. Here's page 1. Okay, I'm going to set my cover aside and I'm going to make a separate pile with my numbered pages. I'm going to put page 1. It sounds weird, but I'm going to put page 1 on the bottom. Then I'm going to cut out the next 2. So again, I'm going to cut around the perimeter and across the solid line. Dotted lines are for folding, so you need to keep page 2, page 3. These parts need to stay together. Okay? And then you can pile up on top of page 1, make your life a little easier. Put page 2 on top, then page 3. Then you're going to cut pages 4 and 5, 6 and 7. And then I will show you how to put it all together as a book. Okay, I'm going to pause my video. I'm going to cut out the rest of my pages. Then I will come back and we'll put it all together. All right, I have all of my pages cut out. They're in a pile. If you notice, I have 7 on top. Okay, so page 7 is the very top and they go in order. Okay, you don't want to confuse yourself, so make sure that on the top you see page 7, then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is on the bottom. Okay, so make sure your pages are nice and neat. Okay, notice it did not include my cover. My cover is separate. Grab your cover. Okay, it says My Plant Growth Journal. And you're going to put it on the back of your pages. Okay, so take your cover and you're going to put it so that if I look at either side, I'm either going to look at page 7 or if I flip it over, I see the cover. Notice that? Okay, so page 7, cover. Final thing to do is to fold the pages together. Now the cover is a little bigger. You might want to take it off and fold it in half alone. Don't worry about the dotted lines. It doesn't matter too much. If you really wanted to, you can fold along those extra dotted lines. You don't have to. Okay? These ones, you're going to fold them inwards. So you're going to fold page 7 so that we have blank sides on either side of the fold. If you want to fold them one by one, you can. You don't have to. Okay. Lots of pages to squish in there. Okay. So when I open this little mini book, I've got page 7 on the very inside. Okay. Take my folded cover, wrap it around those folded pages. Ta-da. Okay. If you have a stapler at home, you can go ahead and staple it together. A standard size staple should reach to the middle. See, I'm going to reach my stapler to the middle and chunk 1 and 2. If you don't have a stapler at home, you could get creative with it. You could, some people put them together with yarn. If you wanted to poke a couple of holes in the top and the bottom and make some, make a yarn binding, that works. But if you take a look, now that mine's all stapled, when I open it up, I get a blank page. That's a good thing. And then look, page 1 is the first page with printing on it. So if I've stacked them properly, page 1 on the bottom, then I have page 2, then page 3. It's all put together. Okay? If you have any questions about that, of course, you can always let me know. The nice thing about this, you can always pause me and back it up and rewatch whatever you might need to rewatch. Okay? So that's it. Those are all the parts we're building together. We've built the work in progress, the journal pocket folder, and now the journal, which is going to live inside that pocket. Now is a really good time for a movement break, a bathroom break, stretch, drink some water, take a break. When we come back to the third and final video, we're going to do a couple of the pages in our brand new plant growth journal. Okay? See you for the next video.